Speak. Put whatever spin you want on the sign.
All right, I'm going to start talking now. Okay, I would like to introduce everybody to our attempt to trace the history of the 13 district schools in Petersham by way of markers put in stone and set by the Historical Committee of the Historical Society some 50 years ago. This has been a rather difficult job because some of the stones have been moved or in one case lost, and we have done the best we can. We feel that someone should remember across this broad town where all the district schools were. I want to wait till that airplane goes by. Again, we are taking information from the history of Petersham written by the late Mabel Coolidge. We thought that our program should begin at the present site of the only school building in the town of Petersham, the Petersham Center School, which, if things go on as planned, will soon become old itself, as a new school is planned to be built in the rear of this one. After all the district schools had been in operation off and on for some time, and the red brick building uptown had been used as a high school, it became more apparent that there ought to be a new school. And it was started by a group of little girls who called themselves Busy Bees and actually had a little sale to start funds for a new schoolhouse. And through the efforts of many important people with a lot more money, like Mr. James Brooks and the will of Charles Forbes and Francis Brooks, these people all gave significant sums of money toward the erection of a new center school. 3 sites were considered, but the one decided on was this one here, where the school is at the corner of Spring Street and Hardwick Road. You can read all this from the history as well as I. But the building was built and opened in 1906, and the pupils carried, literally, physically carried, all their school books and equipment from the red brick building uptown down here to the site of the new school. The important thing to remember about this school was it was a Petersham agricultural high school, one of the very few in the state of Massachusetts, and it was especially praised by the state. It was formally dedicated not until 2 years later. I don't know why, but anyway, it was. And the school has served well since then. We are now going to show you pictures of the school generally, and then we will embark on the history of the district schools. As I said on my sign, let's follow the trail of the Petersham district schools. We hope you will join us in there. Not the most professional efforts, but better than not being made at all. Okay, now I'm going to walk out of the way. relative primarily to the first school district. And for those who want to investigate this further, they should read, starts on page 210 in the town history. But I would like you to know that the people who established Petersham so long ago decided to have a school and voted the money for it, a whole 10 pounds, on May 5th, 1756. You realize that that's only 2 years after what we call the actual incorporation by town. And they divided the town into squadrons, and that led to the establishment of the 13 district schools. But this central school originally existed over on the common between the Unitarian Church and this present building. Then it was picked up and moved down East Street. I'm stopping because of the noise of the cars going by. Then another school they moved part of the old church over onto the school site. Then that too was given up, and they eventually made this school, which operated first only in the lower 2 rooms. Then they eventually took over the entire school, the entire building for the school, which did, on April 23rd, 1891, was the first graduation exercises of the new Petersham High School, when diplomas were presented to Thomas Barnes, Margaret Connor, Alan Cook, who was the uncle of Rosamond and Ruth Coolidge, Frank Hathaway, who was janitor of the center school when I went there, Harry Knowlton, former town clerk, Rilla Layton, Frank Smith, Jeanette Stone, and George Wilder. Then, because money was raised and given and left for the use of a school, the present Petersham Center School was built to house all grades of the school and was formally dedicated in very impressive ceremonies on 1908. In this building where we are standing, you can still see all the hooks and all that stuff where they hung their coats and their lunchbox. Was called that because when it was built in 1794, a plantation bell from the West Indies was placed upon it by John and Nathaniel Chandler. But when they decided to move out of town, then the first building that they had put up was replaced in 1886, and the school continued in this location until 1893, when it was closed, as far as being a school building was concerned. Now, this building was preserved because it was eventually purchased by Charles Waldo, who lived in the house immediately up the road from here, and he moved it to his land, and it was used as a playroom for his children. But it's always been called the Bell School, with or without the bell. Are somewhere near the site of school district number 3. This was called the Bennett School, was located on the old road, or the old route of the old road, to Athol, which passes through what is now Harvard Forest land, on which we are standing, very close to the home of the late Mrs. Richard T. Fisher. Richard, my son Richard, has and ventured up the hill and searched, trying to find the stone. And it must be up there somewhere, but we were not able to find it. It is on this side of the hill, before you go down over onto the other side and on towards Athol and the road that used to go to Phillipston. This school, which served the early years until 1867, was taken down and a new building erected directly west of it on the altered road to Athol. But the stone, according to the historical records, was put where the original school was. The school continued till 1893, and this is one of the schools which became another building. It was sold in 1906 to George Marsh and was taken to Barry Road and was the nucleus of the home of his son, Kenneth Robert Marsh. Now Richard is going to go a little bit up the road, a little closer. Somewhere up there is the stone marking the site of the Bennett Hill School.
This is Wedgeville Schoolhouse.
District number 4, and it was the last surviving district school, which operated until the end of June 1943. Now, Now this school is still used for card parties, which keeps the building in some sort of shape, which isn't very good. And I would like to tell you that the history book tells you of an interesting thing that happened. Schoolmaster Ensign Mann and Thomas Beeman, a Tory, who considered the building to be on his premises, locked the Whig schoolmaster out, and he prosecuted a gentleman named Sylvanus Howe for breaking the door down and ordering the studies to continue. This was approximately 1775 at the time of the Revolution, when the Whigs and the Tories were all mad at each other. And this school was built at a cost of this building, $437.97, which was raised by subscription of the people in the area who wanted to have a school. Ledgeville School, District number 4. Is owned by the Petersham Historical Society as a memorial to education in the 1850s. The first building was further down the road at the corner of Barry and Hubbardston Road. This is actually a third building, and it was, what was it? It was used from 1849, the District 5 school opened, until 1888. Mary Burns was the last teacher. Coming over here. In order that the building should not be destroyed, an association of principally people from the east side of town was formed and purchased the building from the town of Petersham. And as I say, it went to the Historical Society after that. And inside is a list of all the teachers who ever taught here, and pictures, and the original plank desks are still in use. So that is a desk and a seat fastened together. And there used to be reunions over here every year, but now there are too many people are dead and gone. But we hope that this Second E school will be able to be maintained in some fashion as a monument to education.
This is District 5 School. East side of the town.
Private drive across from the home of the late Harry Upham, to make it more well known. And we have an unusual situation here. The stone is upside down, and we don't have the manpower to turn it right side up. But it says School District number 6. The building was burned in 1865 and was never rebuilt. Pupils of this district then attended the Center School or the District 12 School from that time until they centralized all the districts. We've done a section in town called Nichawag, and it is said that the marker stone the Historical Society put for the District 7 school was rolled into the river at some time by vandals. No one has seen it since the late Bert Smith says that he did. The school was located across the road somewhere in this vicinity. All these buildings were torn down when the Metropolitan District Commission took over the land. And all that I remember is that when you rounded the corner, there was a private home, and there was and the post office somewhere between the corner and here, and there was what was a mansion, like a little bit further on. And that's about all anybody could say, without the marking stone being in place. And this school was the scene of many happy social events. The population of the district was large enough to permit it. It was closed as a school in 1921, which makes it one of the later schools, and taken over by the Metropolitan Water System, which lies just over the town line into the edge of New Salem. Somewhere in the depths of this forest is the site of schoolhouse number 8. We could not find it, and we cannot find anyone who can accurately pinpoint its location. According to the town history, it was the second West School and was established near the Boston and Albany rail line. And apparently, doesn't say when it was built. Apparently, it did not last for a long time. After it was closed in 1870, it was reopened one term each year to prevent the schoolhouse from reverting to the owner of the land. If anyone can find this schoolhouse, they're welcome to look.
Quite a ways off the beaten path from where I was looking.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's more places down there, but so we can take a picture of the cellar holes there as we're walking back. And to say that I found some bricks right in there. That's what convinced me that's where it was. And
You don't have to be silent.
no,
Actually, I'd like to catch some of the story on this.
so I don't know more about the story itself, except I remember the marker being here. That's where the brook crosses right there. Right next to the brook is where the schoolhouse is.
Mm-hmm.
And see the Elton Bassett, that's where the farms are right there, right next to it. So the school is between those farm foundations and the brook. The monument now, they got the monument set down in here, but they've got it set in the wrong place. The monument should be back on the opposite side of the road, right next to the brook. And this is a copy of Richard's 1898 map.
Which is the entrance to the Women's Federated Forest. We told you that we could not locate school district number 8 marker. And since that time, Mr. Joseph Sinauskas of Barry Plain has provided us with an accurate placing of the school. He has hiked the Quabbin a great deal, and he took Richard in and showed him exactly where the school was. The marker that was put in was rudely moved by loggers, but was replaced by the MDC, but they put it on the wrong side of the road and about 60 yards down from where it should be. However, we're very grateful to Mr. Sinauskas for locating school district number 8, which is buried deep in these woods, very near the rabbit line and very near gate 36. So now we do know where District 8 school was. West Road, for modern day people, that's down West Road, just beyond land belonging to Richard Nicholas. And the school was opened in at least by 1858, because the town school records list it as being open on that time, and the member of the school committee representing this school was Dwight Ripley in 1858. And they suspended school in this building, was located here in 1893. Then they reopened it for a year when there was a need for it, when the population was bigger. And then the building was later purchased in 1924 by Emery Gray and moved uptown for a carpenter shop. Located on what's called the Lower Athol Road, New Athol Road, New Sherburne Road, whatever you want to call it. It was part of the Jonathan Johnson homestead, and actually this is one of the schools that existed for longer than a lot of the district schools, operated continuously until 1898, and then it was actually used again as late as 1912. Then the building, which was still in fairly good condition, was purchased by the late George Cobb, who turned it into a barn on West Street in Petersham. And that is the history of school district number 10. The barn, this is the one that's on Popple Camp Road as far as modern people are concerned. And I would like to tell you that it's a school that Dan Broderick, one of our famous town fathers, attended when he was a boy. Now the first building for this school, which was called in the northeast quarter of the town, was further up the road, so we won't worry about that. But this is a second building established right here near the brook over Popple Camp Road. The school was, whenever it was opened, it was closed in 1866. We opened 4 years later in 1870 and served 8 years, and was closed permanently in 1878. Most of the school buildings, as soon as they were closed, if they weren't sold or used for anything else, decayed very rapidly, and that's too bad. But these stones are here to mark the site. Hill School, like we are located right now on the Barry Road, just past Connors Pond on the way to Barry, and in a neat little walled-in square, very small, is where this second site of School 12 was. The original site was down and up the hill behind Connor's Pond on the old road, up beyond Pat Connor's place. And then it was moved down here and reestablished, and was in use in 1855. Sorry about that, take that back. That was the first one. The last building stood on the west side of present Barry Road, which I have just told you about, and was used as a school until 1894. This is another schoolhouse that was preserved through being taken down, sold to Frank Hathaway, and moved to Hardwick Road where he lived and built into a new barn. A lot of schools were moved for one reason or another near the same site in several places over town. But this is District 12.
That'll be fine.
Well, this is number 8. This is.
We're located right here on the lawn of Grace Barnes' house. And the marker in the stone here says School District number 13. Would you want to come closer?
No, I got the Zoom.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I'm going to read you what it says about the Southwest District. We're situated on the south side of the corner of Dugway and what they called West Hardwick Road in older times. Now we just call it Hardwick Road. The building was replaced in 1867 or 68 by the present building on the site, and in 1882 it was discontinued as a school, although they opened it for one more year in 1890. The land eventually became the property of Charles Coolidge and was owned by him and by descendants, of which Grace Barnes is part of the family, and the house's former school has been remodeled a good deal, but